let's bring in Jim Cramer, host of CNBC's Mad Money and author of Cramer's Stay Mad for Life. Jim, is this a joke?
Well, look, Soros is now running the banking system, so why not make Krugman the Nobel laureate? I mean, think about it.
Seriously,
the left has taken over your great country. You're completely marginalized. We are now Eugene V. Debs, Part 2.
Wow. We're socialists now. We're Marxists.
We just don't want to teeter to communism.
Before Paul Krugman was a New York Times columnist, he still is a PhD economist at Princeton. So I haven't read the full announcement from the Nobel Committee, but that is presumably.
Could go run a hedge fund, a doom and gloom hedge fund, where Bernanke causes the doom and Krugman capitalizes from the gloom.
All right.
So back to politics.
So gloom and doom today.
Well, actually, the markets.
It looks like it's going to go well, right?
Yeah. Well, Britain took over big firms.
It looks as though what Britain did and whatever conversations took place this weekend had an effect, right, Jim?
I think this British plan, which basically is to nationalize the three biggest banks, kick out all the managements, perhaps prosecute them for all we know, is the beginning of the end of the crisis. Unfortunately, the crisis will leave the various governments in charge of the banking system, which is not something that Paulson wanted. He fought this, but he has to go along with it, basically, because everything else has failed.
Yeah. Time Magazine's Mark Halperin is here with us as well. Go ahead, Mark. What are you reading off the BlackBerry?
I'm reading off my BlackBerry that Frank Rich has been made head of the Heritage Foundation.
Okay,
does that come as a surprise to you there? Andrew, look, there seemed to be a lot of chaos this weekend inside the McCain campaign, right? Notion he was going to come out with an economic plan reminiscent of Bob Dole in '96 with a last-minute tax plan. Do we have any idea what's going on inside? Is it Steve Schmidt making the decisions? Is it Rick Davis? Is there some unified command there? Or is the chaos a product of the fact that too many people are in charge?
Perhaps too many people, and too many people who disagree about what to do. John McCain has to take over and show the leadership that I think he began to show on Friday night when he said to that woman, I think it was in Minneapolis, who approached him and he said, no, Barack Obama is a decent man. He would be an all right president. He's not an Arab. Joe, I know that you have concerns about the double standard, and I'm not going to argue with you about the double standard, but in this case, I think that there had been a lot of incendiary language from the platform that the campaign would then say, we don't agree with this, we don't condone those kinds of words. So whatever you think of the words, the campaign would issue a statement hours later when inquiries were made, we don't condone introducing him the way the sheriff in Florida introduced him, in uniform, by the way. There's a little bit of a fuss over that down there. And at the same time, nobody would say it from the stage. And the candidates had to take some ownership of this. John McCain, clearly, because Sarah Palin wasn't. She was just doing what she was told to do.
Right. Hey, Jim Cramer, of course, we've seen the markets. Friday, the ending of Friday was about as volatile any ending I've ever seen of a day. It was just insanity. Do you think stabilization will return today? Is now the time for everybody to jump in and buy?
No, you can't do that. We're going into a severe recession. It's never been a really dynamite time to buy a lot of stocks. We do expect a very big recovery from last week. Remember, last week was the worst week ever. So you're going to get a bounce. Just to put it in perspective, we got a 50% bounce in 1929 after the Great Crash. So it's perfectly reasonable to think that you could get a nice rebound. But those who hung on to those 1929 prices did have to wait till 1954 to kind of begin to get whole. Let's hope that doesn't occur.